In the future, disasters and environmental crises threaten the planet, prompting global leaders to meet and find solutions. After extensive discussions at the UN, they agree to reduce the global population by 20%. They justify this decision by arguing that many of the world's challenges stem from human activity. Following the UN Secretary-General's announcement, all international borders are closed until each nation meets its assigned reduction target. This extreme measure is enacted due to widespread shortages of food and essential resources. Later, a government supply vehicle delivers water to locals. A girl notices officials from the Department of Citizen Strategy clearing out a house after removing one of its residents. Bob, who leads the operation, hands a document to a woman inside, confirming that her household now complies with the population requirement. Elsewhere, Youssef and his friend Malik walk past a commercial encouraging youth to volunteer for a program related to the reduction initiative. Frustrated by the state of the world, Malik throws his coffee at the billboard in protest. Youssef and Malik arrive at the residence of Charles J., shielding themselves from the sun with an umbrella. Due to extreme solar radiation, people are now required to use umbrellas outdoors and install protective film on their windows. Inside, they help carry a large umbrella upstairs while a man on TV talks about the benefits of joining the population control program. He even suggests lowering the age requirement to include children, a statement that outrages viewers. When asked if he would allow his own child to participate, he says he would consider it. Watching the broadcast, Malik and Youssef realize the speaker is Jared York, Charles J.'s son and a well-known journalist. Disgusted, they criticize Jared, but when Charles overhears, they quickly apologize. Charles assures them that he disagrees with Jared's stance. After the movers leave, Charles looks at a photo of his second wife, Dee, and his children, Jared, Ashley, Rachel, and his adopted son, Noah. He has invited them all to dinner. Meanwhile, Dee, a renowned chef, prepares a Korean meal while Charles quietly removes alcohol and personal items from the house, as if preparing for a major change. Dee appears distressed and cries while embracing her husband. A news report airs, revealing that the Department of Citizen Strategy is now authorized to respond to unrest with force. It also states that Rachel's company, York Therapeutics, is under legal investigation. Jared arrives at his father's home. As he waits in his car, his wife calls to express her anger about his recent interview. She threatens to prevent him from seeing their child. Jared defends himself, claiming he was misrepresented, but she hangs up. Inside, Jared waits while Charles finishes getting ready. Charles briefly opens a window, exposing himself to the sun, but quickly shuts it due to the intense heat. Moments later, Rachel arrives with her daughter Mia. Charles, happy to see his granddaughter, reminds Rachel that the dinner was meant for adults. Rachel explains that Mia was upset after seeing news coverage about the accusations against her company, so she brought her along for comfort. Meanwhile, Noah hesitates outside the house. He calls his girlfriend, Grace, who encourages him to reconnect with his family. Still unsure, he's met by Ashley, who convinces him to join her. During their drive, Ashley excitedly shares that she landed a role in a video game ad. When Noah mentions Grace, Ashley asks why he hasn't introduced her. He asks her to keep Grace a secret for now. She agrees but asks for no more secrets between them. When they arrive, Charles warmly welcomes Noah. With everyone present, the family sits down for dinner. Dee, having recently closed her restaurant, seems especially somber. During the meal, Charles raises his glass and apologizes for being absent in their lives due to work. After dinner, Charles reveals the real reason for the gathering. He and Dee have signed up for the voluntary reduction program. He explains that he wanted an adult-only dinner for this reason and asks Mia to go upstairs. Jared questions the decision, pointing out that the family doesn't need the government's incentives. Charles responds that after reporting on the destruction of the Amazon rainforest, he became convinced that the planet cannot support current population levels. He says if no one volunteers and the government resorts to random selection, he couldn't bear the risk of one of his children being chosen. Jared, who has connections to the program, says that only one family member needs to participate, and he could do it in their place to spare his parents. Dee responds that, given the family's influence, their decision could inspire others and set an example. The conversation becomes tense. Dee leaves for the kitchen while the family continues to debate. Later, they reconvene in the living room. Charles asks who would be chosen first if no one steps forward. Jared explains that undocumented immigrants would be the first on the list, but their families would receive support and legal status. Charles, deeply offended, accuses Jared of supporting a biased policy. He condemns the rise in hostility toward Asian countries, who are often blamed for the global crisis. Charles reveals that Dee's restaurant wasn't closed by choice. It was destroyed in an attack, leaving her emotionally scarred. During the argument, Ashley unintentionally mentions Noah's girlfriend. Charles takes notice. Noah admits he's dating Grace and insists she's different from his past relationships, which were troubled by substance issues. He shares his personal story, how he overcame addiction and survived a tragic accident that claimed his previous girlfriend's life. He now plays piano at Grace's workplace and is building a new life. Charles expresses pride in his growth. Soon after, the family discovers a letter from Dee. She has left the house, explaining she cannot follow through with the decision to volunteer. Before they can fully respond, the doorbell rings. Bob and his team from the Department of Citizen Strategy have arrived. Later, the siblings gather in Charles's room while Noah plays the piano he brought earlier. It becomes clear that Bob has convinced Charles to proceed with voluntary enlistment. Charles tells his children how much he loves them and informs them that his estate will be divided equally among the four of them. Bob administers the necessary medication, and Charles passes away peacefully. Bob's team then takes the body away. Before leaving, Bob reminds Charles's children that he came for two people and has only received one. In the face of confusion, the family refuses to offer another member, explaining that Dee has disappeared and they have no one else to give. In response, Bob's team storms the house, demanding that someone be chosen. Bob grabs Mia and carries her to his car, assuring them he won't harm her because she is a minor. However, he gives the family 2 hours to decide who will volunteer, unless they find Dee. Desperate, Jared says he can use his government connections to help, but Bob reveals that the house is completely sealed, with no signal or internet access. He then exposes the family's darkest secrets, including past wrongdoings and personal data collected by the authorities. He warns that one of them will eventually have to step forward for the rest. Rachel, furious after hearing her own offenses, attacks Bob and strikes him. Despite this, Bob remains composed and withdraws with his team, warning that if they can't decide in time, he will make the choice for them. Left alone, the family reads their files and is horrified by what they learn. Despite the guilt and tension, they can't agree on who should step forward. During a discussion, Jared suggests that Noah should be chosen, claiming he wasted all the opportunities their father gave him. Ashley defends Noah, saying Jared is not blameless either. Noah insists he has changed and asks them to honor their father's wish to find a peaceful solution. Frustrated, the family calls Bob and tells him they cannot decide. Bob suggests drawing straws, but everyone refuses. Rachel then asks if they can simply present a body instead of someone stepping forward voluntarily. Bob confirms this is possible and leaves them to decide. After he leaves, Rachel convinces the others to betray Noah. She stabs him, and Ashley hands her a weapon. Together with Jared, they attack Noah using spray and a metal rod. Injured, Noah pleads with them to stop, reminding them they are family, but they ignore him. He defends himself skillfully, but refuses to hurt Ashley. She blinds him with the spray, and Rachel stabs him in the back. Noah crawls to the bathroom, tries to treat his wounds, and sends a message to Grace. Seeing there's no signal, he throws his phone outside. Having sent the message, he decides to fight back. He breaks a chair and grabs a bat. Meanwhile, Bob is informed that Dee has been found but chooses not to intervene, watching the conflict instead. Noah searches for his siblings and finds Ashley hiding. She apologizes and tells him the others are in the living room. On his way out, Noah is distracted by a family photo. Rachel takes the opportunity to stab him in the hand, pinning him to the wall. Despite the pain, he pulls out the knife and hides in another room. Jared finds him, and they fight. Noah injures Rachel with a fork and tries to escape, but Ashley strikes him from behind and knocks him out. The siblings tie him up and prepare to end his life, but when the moment comes, none of them can go through with it. At that moment, Grace arrives, demanding to see Noah, and begins recording the situation. Alarmed, the siblings rush out to stop her. Mia tries to flee, but one of Bob's men stops her. The family is left in shock. Rachel suggests giving up Grace, but Bob refuses since she is in New York. He gives them 15 minutes to decide and leaves. When he returns, the power goes out. Using flashlights, they search for Noah, but he ambushes them. He attacks and severely wounds Ashley, then takes down Rachel and Jared. He strangles Ashley, but Rachel begs him to stop, and he lets her go. Declaring that no one else from the family will be harmed, Noah insists they must work together to stop Bob and his team. After treating Ashley's wounds, they form a plan. When Bob enters with his team, Ashley lies on the floor pretending to be unconscious. As Bob inspects the scene, the siblings spring into action. Ashley attacks one of his men, and Noah takes another hostage. Bob, seeing no alternative, orders the rest of his team to surrender. The siblings then subdue Bob. When he wakes up, he's tied down. They prepare to administer the same treatment he gave their father. Bob warns them that attacking someone in his position will bring consequences, and the authorities will retaliate, putting Grace's safety at risk. Just as Jared moves to act, Bob proposes a deal. If they let him go, he will help clear their legal records and ensure no one finds out. The siblings exchange uncertain looks, realizing this might be their best option. Sometime later, Noah performs at a grand concert, dressed in a sharp suit. In the audience are Rachel, Jared, his son, Mia, and Dee. all watching with pride. Meanwhile, the news announces that Ashley and Grace have joined the national program and are being celebrated as heroes. Bob appears on television, praising their courage and claiming he personally collected their remains. The country honors Ashley and Grace as selfless individuals, never knowing the truth about what really happened.